Golden Globe and Emmy award-winning emotional drama Downton Abbey is back with a much-awaited film sequel following the dramatic events of the first movie, released in 2019. Downton Abbey: A New Era chronicles the lives of the beloved Crawley family and their staff as they live out the last few years of the Roaring Twenties. When will we be able to stream it? This and more in today's video. First, what is Downton Abbey: A New Era about? Who is in the Downton Abbey 2 cast? The story of the sequel follows two different tracks. On the one hand, a filmmaker has arrived at the Downton to use the estate as the backdrop for his new silent film. At the same time, the Crawley family learns the Dowager Countess was inherited an estate in the south of France from a man she knew in the 1860s. Some of the family members then travel to France to uncover this mystery of the Dowager's past. The cast of the film, which was written by Julian Fellowes and directed by Simon Curtis, includes Hugh Bonneville, Laura Carmichael, Jim Carter, Raquel Cassidy, Brendan Coyle, Michelle Dockery, Kevin Doyle, Joanne Froggatt, Michael Fox, Harry Haddon Panton, Robert James Collier, Alan Leach, Phyllis Logan, Elizabeth McGovern, Sophie McShera, Tuppence Middleton, Leslie Nichol, Douglas Reith, Maggie Smith, Imelda Staunton, Penelope Wilton, Hugh Dancy, Laura Haddock, Natalie Bay, Dominic West, and Jonathan Zakai. Next, how to watch Downton Abbey: A New Era. Is the sequel streaming? The Downton Abbey saga continues in the sequel film Downton Abbey: A New Era, which finds the cadre of characters coming up against Hollywood itself when a film production sets up shop at Downton. After 6 series on television, creator Julian Fellowes took his upstairs-downstairs story of the goings-on at a sprawling English estate to the big screen with the aptly titled 2019 film Downton Abbey. The story continues to unfold in the sequel Downton Abbey: A New Era, which takes place in 1928, nearly 2 decades after the series first began. When is Downton Abbey: A New Era streaming? The sequel opened exclusively in theaters in the United States on May 20th, courtesy of Focus Features. As of opening weekend, Downton Abbey 2 is not available to stream, but that won't be the case forever. Downton Abbey: A New Era will be streaming on Peacock on June 24th. The film will also be available to own on digital on June 24th, and will be released on Blu-ray and DVD on July 5th. Where is the Downton Abbey TV show streaming? You can stream all 6 seasons of Downton Abbey on Peacock and Amazon Prime Video. The 2019 film is streaming on Peacock and Fubo TV. Moving on, how Downton Abbey 3 can really be about a new era. The ideal way to honor the title Downton Abbey: A New Era is for Downton Abbey 3 to focus more on the Crawleys' children. The 3 eldest children, Sibby, Fifi Hart, George, and Marigold, Ava and Karina Sams, are still children who innocently play and are warmly coddled in Downton Abbey: A New Era. But if and when Downton Abbey 3 happens, a time jump will occur and the children should be nearly entering their teenage years. Downton Abbey: A New Era lives up to its title by bringing about a sweeping change in the lives of the Crawleys and their loyal servants. The passing of Lady Violet does indeed mark the end of an era, as the Dowager Countess was an Edwardian who embodied 19th century values. In Downton Abbey 3, George, Sibby, and Marigold can be pushed to the forefront of the family. They would still be younger than their mothers were when Downton Abbey began, but Sibby, George, and Marigold are also more modern children and can embody the modern world as Mary and Edith transition into middle age. It would also be fascinating to explore the children's personalities. Is George as tough and funny as Lady Mary is, and did he inherit his father Matthew's level-headedness? Is Sibby as independent and open-minded as her mother was? Does she have her father's passion for social justice? Does Marigold ever wonder about her birth father, or is she content as the adopted daughter of the Marquess of Hexham? Further, Sibby inherited a villa in the south of France left to her by her great-grandmother Violet. The Crawleys hoped that summertime gatherings at Sibby's villa in the French Riviera would become an annual family tradition, which is an ideal jumping-off point for another sequel. As beloved as the Crawleys and their servants are, all of Downton Abbey's characters are now newly 2 decades older. George, Sibby, and Marigold, as well as their younger cousins, can embody a new vitality that Downton Abbey needs. The Crawley grandchildren, the mistakes they will inevitably make, and the lessons they will learn from them are the most potent wellspring of new story potential for Downton Abbey 3 and beyond. George and Sibby and Marigold aren't just the next generation of Crawleys, they literally are Downton Downton Abbey: A New Era. Next, why Downton Abbey's Violet ending was right for a new era and Lady Mary. Lady Violet Crawley, Maggie Smith, bid her final farewell in Downton Abbey: A New Era, and bringing the Dowager Countess back for the sequel was the smart move for the film, but Lady Mary Talbot, Michelle Dockery, and for the Downton Abbey story. In Downton Abbey: A New Era, Violet's mysterious past and why she was sent to a villa in the south of France was the launching pad for the film's main story. Throughout Downton Abbey: A New Era, Lady Violet's history was the spoke that kept the movie's wheel turning, and it led to Robert's traumatic suspicion that his mother may have had an affair that led to his birth, which meant his life as the Earl of Grantham was a fraud. However, Violet put her son's fears to rest that he is indeed his father's son. Robert's story led to some of the most emotional moments in the Earl of Grantham's history, especially when he also feared his wife, Cora, Elizabeth McGovern, was dying of cancer. Violet and Cora always have been at the odds, but the Dowager Countess finally gave her daughter-in-law her due, which was appreciated. As evident throughout Downton Abbey: The New Era, giving Maggie Smith's Lady Violet one last film in which she has all the funniest quips and to say her final goodbyes to her family and castmates was so much better than if Violet had simply died in between films and was absent in the sequel. It is Lady Violet's death that gives the title Downton Abbey: A New Era its meaning, because the loss of the old Dowager Countess is what finally brings forth a new era. The Crawleys enter the modern world of the 1930s, and soon it's their grandchildren who will carry on the family legacy. Downton Abbey: A New Era is actually a celebration of Lady Violet's life and how much she will always mean to the Crawley family. Moving on, A New Era properly ends one of Downton Abbey's oldest storylines. Thomas Barrow, Robert James Collier, gets his happy ending in Downton Abbey: A New Era, which properly concludes one of Downton Abbey's oldest storylines. As a footman, Barrow was one of Downton Abbey's original villains. Along with Mrs. O'Brien, Siobhan Finneran, Barrow was a venal presence among Downton's servants, endlessly scheming and manipulating his co-workers. However, Barrow also had a tragic secret. As a gay man in the 1910s and 20s, the footman feared he could be imprisoned if people found out. Sadly, Barrow believed there was something wrong with him, and even he sought a painful medical treatment to make him like everyone else. Poor Barrow lived in misery, as his few attempts to connect with others he thought were homosexual were met with scorn. But Barrow also developed a true friendship with Lady Mary's, Michelle Dockery's, young son, George, that showed his softer side. When Carson had to retire due to palsy, Barrow had a remarkable change of heart, mended his ways, and Thomas replaced Carson as Downton Abbey's butler, a position he held in the 2019 Downton Abbey movie Into a New Era. In Downton Abbey: A New Era, Thomas expectedly gets his chance at a happy life. At first, Barrow is distraught when he learns that Mr. Ellis, Max Brown, is getting married. Barrow met Ellis, the king's valet, during the royal visit in Downton Abbey 2019, and learned Ellis was also a gay man hiding in plain sight, but Thomas wanted to be more than friends with Ellis, and he was laid low that the opportunity was dashed, until Guy Dexter revealed to Barrow that he was also gay and invited Tom to work for him and take care of him. Dexter soon confirmed Barrow's hopes that it means what he thinks it means, and that Thomas could live relatively in the open with Guy in Hollywood. The Lady Mary's own words when Barrow gave his notice, "It's his chance to be as happy as our cruel world will allow," and Thomas is taking it. If Downton Abbey: A New Era does mark the end of Barrow's story, it was an ideal way to give the long-suffering servant the happy resolution he deserved. Barrow has proven to be an indeed kind and has a good heart, but he desperately needed a hopeful future. Unfortunately, that's all the time we had for today. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Make sure to follow for more great content.